We got to get this right, because you're not just a passenger in your career journey. You are in the driver's seat. If you don't have objectives, it's basically like you're driving on the highway with a blindfold on. So let's make sure that you're going where you're trying to go. Welcome to the 𝗙𝗃 Show, the career management podcast teaching Black women how to become unstoppable at work. I'm Felicia 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗏, aka the Trillest MBA, delivering the inspiring truth through strategies and tactics so you feel protected, confident, and ready to conquer your career. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to deep dive into the most important thing that you really do need to focus on every year, because this is going to be the engine that helps you drive yourself up the career ladder. And what is that? Objectives. I know. Listen. Let me tell you. Objectives are so important. They're the thing that you struggle to write every year, and then you make up some bullshit. And let's be honest, a lot of y'all out here just making up stuff, or your manager cascades them down from his manager and her manager before her. And then you just say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then everybody forgets about that and goes off and gets lost in the sauce of the chaos that most of the time your leadership team causes, because nobody's paying attention to objectives. But I'm telling you, if you pay attention, objectives can become a superpower, a force to be reckoned with for you in your company. And so I'm going to break down what are objectives exactly, because some of y'all might not even have ever set objectives or had objectives, or, you heard about it, right? That might be you. And we're going to talk about how to write these objectives and how to set yourself up for the year using your objectives. And I'm telling you, when you get disciplined in all this, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. Not that you aren't already. This just, 2X's your game plan. That's all I'm saying. So today, we're really going to spill some tea about these workplace objectives. It's okay. I got y'all. It doesn't have to be the drudgery that it's always been. I'm going to make it fun. So now, let's get into it. First, I want to talk about why you need to understand workplace objectives. This is crucial. So one thing I want you to understand is objectives aren't just these fancy bullet points on your performance review, right? Think of it as a GPS. I don't know about you, but especially when I'm in LA, I always have to use my GPS. I don't know where I'm going. And if I don't have a guide or a roadmap to tell me how to get from point A to point B to point C and back home, I'm going to be spinning my wheels. And if you don't have objectives, it's basically like you're driving on the highway with a blindfold on. I don't know about you, but that accident is definitely going to be your fault. You won't be able to blame nobody else. So here's the deal. We got to get this right, because you're not just a passenger in your car. You're not just a passenger in your career journey. You are the driver. You are in the driver's seat. So I want you to take out your GPS and let's make sure that you're going where you're trying to go. And it's going to be a great ride. Okay? So the most important thing that you need to know about why objectives are so critical is because it's not just corporate lingo, and it's not just a buzzword. And the problem is we're made to believe that because the people who have power and the people who know the power of objectives, and they know how to use their objectives, they know how to write their objectives, they understand the company's culture and the system, and so they use this to their advantage. They are not trying to teach anybody else about this. Okay? So it's not just this thing that you have to do and everybody hates it. Do you notice at work how everybody moans and groans when it's that time of year and HR is on you to get your shit in the system, but then there's not a lot of help? Or there might be, in some organizations, there's these guys that tell you, this is how you write a SMART objective. This is how you write a SMART goal. Yeah, it feels that way. But don't sleep. This shit's really important, like more important than you'll ever thought. So just ride with me, because I'm going to break it down a little bit more when we get back from the break. Hey guys, so if you haven't checked it out, I've recently launched a Stand store, and it has digital guides and tools to help you along your career journey. So if you need to take FMLA, there's an FMLA tracker. That tool is specifically to help you document and collect everything so that you can have peace of mind as you take lead. You also find a quiet firing guide. This tool helps you realize if you are in a situation where you might be about to get the boot. It also helps you realize and track and document to make sure that you protect yourself, and also let you know, hey, I might need to consult an attorney at this point. Or it might reveal to you that, oh, I'm actually in a good space and it was just me and my paranoia, because that happens sometimes too. I know how y'all are. Don't trust these people. But sometimes you gotta trust somebody. And this guide helps you discern who to trust, who's in your corner, and if this organization is actually for you or against you. So go to stanstore.com/𝗃𝗏𝗄𝐿𝐴 show to check out all the guides and tools that we're creating just for you to help you in your career. Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys. Now I want to talk about what are the type of objectives that you're going to come up against in the workplace. Like you hear KPIs, you hear OKRs, you hear all this jargon and all these words. But before we go deep into what all that is, I want us to pump the brakes for a second. We've got to define what objectives actually are so that we're all on the same page. Now, what are objectives? Well, let's break it down. So objectives are specific, quantifiable, and achievable goals that has a time period. And basically, these are things that you are going to write down. And it's either individual, team, project-based, or company-wide objectives. So think of them as your mission statement, but broken down into bite-sized chunks that you can snack on throughout the year, which means you should be revisiting them throughout the year too. Simply put, objectives are your career cheat codes. Cheat codes. Just like in video games, they unlock levels for you, help you score those bonus points. Without objectives, you're pretty much button mashing, like Nintendo. You just mashing the buttons real fast, hoping something cool happens. And let's be real, we're way too fabulous to just be smashing a bunch of buttons and hoping something sticks. Like, that's not how this works. Understand, objectives are for you to guide yourself through the organization. Now, let's talk about how objectives are talked about in the organization. Mainly, you'll hear two acronyms and people trying to sound cool. Well, what are the KPIs? Do you know your OKRs? You should know them offhand. Let's talk about what this shit is. First off, you have KPIs. These are key performance indicators. And yes, your work can have key performance indicators. So, for example, let's say one of the objectives that you have for the year is to launch a campaign for a new product or launch a new product. One of the KPIs will be how much volume did you sell to customers? If you work in CPG and you're selling a product that goes into stores like Walmart or e-commerce like Amazon, or Target or what have you. So how many units did you sell? That would be a key performance indicator. And it would be how many units did you sell in the first year of launch, or from launch to date of end of year when you're evaluating your objectives. I hope this all makes sense. If this doesn't sound familiar to you, definitely hit me up, especially if you work in a corporate, like pretty good sized company, because a lot of times big corporations have tools for this. If you work in government or nonprofit, or you work for a smaller organization, you should still be doing a process or having some type of process in place where you're writing key performance indicators for your projects and what, you're tasked with getting accomplished for the year. So if you don't, or if you're struggling, hit us up, ask@𝗙𝗵𝗆𝗃.com, and we will definitely help you, not just through listening to this show, but we will definitely help you get to the nitty-gritty of how do you implement this process into your work situation. Because when you do this, when you understand what are my key performance indicators, it helps to get rid of the subjectivity in your work. So it takes down a notch that little devil that your boss could have on her shoulder that tries to say, I don't think Felicia's really doing that great of a job. And then you can come back and you can say, well, I'm meeting my key performance indicator, which is our sales goal, by 100%. And we're projected to overshoot by 110% by the end of the year. Then what you gonna say? Because I'm meeting and beating my objectives. And so the key performance indicator says, and then these are the numbers. So it's very hard to be subjective about a concrete idea as numbers. So understand your key performance indicators should be very concrete items that you can evaluate. How you made the company money, how you saved the company money. So key performance indicators will always be a track record of that progress. And so you always want to say, okay, we need to make $100 million, or we need to save $30 million this year in this initiative that we're launching. And then you track it. So far this year, we've saved $50,000. We're on track to save another $100,000 by the end of Q4. And so I will have beaten my KPI. I know. Key performance indicators are like a report card. A, B, C, D. A is 90+%. This is definitely adulting for corporate America. So if your KPI is slacking, you got to figure out, make some moves. And that's the only way they can get to you. And when you're not, boom, now what? Then we got OKRs. OKRs are objectives and key results. So OKRs are used typically when maybe it's not so cut and dry, is what I've seen. So it's like, we want to grow awareness of our product. And then you implement, you create a strategy around growing awareness. You execute against the strategy. And then the key result is you should have grown your awareness by X%. And so you'll set your objective of, I want to grow awareness by the end of the year. And then you set, I want to grow awareness by 10% by the end of the year. And so then you just focus on what's the result. And so a lot of times this type of objective is used when it really is a longer term play. Like, not only is it a longer term play, but it also takes time to see the key result come in. And so you just have to track against it and monitor it. And then boom, one day your key result comes in from all your activities that you did to work through the strategy and execute against the strategy. And then you win. It's like a team goal a lot of times too. But if you are the responsible person to make sure the whole team is on track, so a lot of times people managers will have goals like this because it takes a little bit longer time. It takes a team effort to achieve that key result that you're looking for. So you just have to stay on it when you have OKRs. Sometimes they get a little slippery. And there are others, but those are the main two that I've seen. And when I work with my coaching clients that we talk about a lot. KPI is usually the main one, but there are other types of objectives. So there's management by objectives. That's MBOs. I don't hear this as much. I've heard it, but not like it's been a one-off. But basically, this is that whole trickle-down objectives, right? So it's like my manager has this objective and I got to be in sync with my manager. So now this is my objective. And if you're not in sync with your manager, like, you're going to look foolish. And we all know we're not going to be the ones that's looking foolish. So you take his objective, you make sure in his objective that you are responsible for a specific thing that you know you can get done. So that's the tricky part about these types of objectives that roll down. So you want to make sure that it's something you're responsible for and that you can meet as a part of his bigger objectives. So now that we've talked about what objectives are, and we've talked about the different types of objectives, the main types of objectives you're going to see and make, when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk about the most important thing you need to understand for this episode. And the biggest takeaway is how you're going to navigate your career and your personal brand using objectives when we get back from the break. Hey guys, so listen, you're out there, you're trying to build your career, you're trying to get this money, you're trying to make it, and you don't really have any help. But that's why you're here at the 𝗙𝗏𝗂 Show. We're here to help. So I want you to go to 𝗙𝗏𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗃.com and sign up for our freebies. There you will see a plethora of free guides and tools and resources that we have collected over the years to help you get your best possible outcome and get paid and promoted. Because that's why we're here, to help you figure out the workplace crazy, how to be a human in an inhumane place, and not just survive, but thrive, right? So we want to go from survival to thriving. And that's why we're here. So check out our freebies at 𝗙𝗏𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗃.com. And if you have any questions, hit us up. Ask at 𝗙𝗏𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗃.com. If I don't know the answer to your question, I'm going to find you somebody to help you figure out your workplace dilemma. Okay? Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys, let's get back to these objectives and how you use your objectives to navigate your personal brand. So listen, I know it feels like corporate objectives are just, this is just the thing we have to do. But you got to understand, when you strategically choose objectives that align not just with what the company wants, but with what you want for your career, this becomes a powerful way to drive your internal narrative in the organization. Because not only do your objectives speak to what you're doing to add value to the organization, your objectives also speak to the person that you are when you use them and couch in your objectives your personal narrative, your personal brand. So, for example, you can write an objective that says, this year, strategically, we are going to deploy 3 new campaigns that are targeted to our target customer, and these 3 campaigns will result in a 30% increase in top line revenue for the year. I just made that up, y'all, off the dome. Ride with me. So now that I've set that objective, all throughout the year, I run around the building, maybe literally, probably not, but I run around and every conversation I'm having, I'm really excited because this year we're going to increase top line revenue by 30%. Or this year I'm really working to increase top line revenue by 30%. I'm really passionate about this. And I'm going to do this by doing 3 things. And then you bullet point those 3 main things that you want people to know that is your superpower and what you're doing. And that becomes your soundbite. And it's tied to your objectives. And mind you, make sure when you write this objective that you're over delivering. So you're under promising and over delivering on your objective. Okay. And we'll get more into the how to write objectives in the next episode. But for this episode, understand that objectives give you the talking points you need. So when you're in big meetings or you're at networking events, you're not just Felicia from marketing, you're Felicia, the goal slayer, result driving powerhouse. Okay. So that's the foundation of objectives. And that's the biggest thing you need to understand is that these are tools for you to use that strategically place you in a narrative in the organization that then becomes synonymous with who you are and how you work. And so when those objectives are tied to the bigger, larger company objectives, you are seen as more valuable, even though technically you're just as valuable as everyone in the organization. It's all about the story you talk about. Most important thing. The most important thing is that setting and achieving the right objectives, you get to arm yourself with a compelling narrative that can set you apart in meetings, networking events, and especially in your performance reviews. And that's the most important thing about objectives. So now, objectives shouldn't be something you should bemoan every year. You should be excited because now you're going to work strategically to play your chess game at your company and really focus on how to use objectives to help you drive your career, get you promoted, get more money, all the bags, girl. So if you need some help or advice about a specific situation, go to 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult with me to strategize and walk through your specific work situation. In addition, you can always email me at ask@𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com. I'm happy to either answer your question or connect you to the right person if I don't have the answer. Again, that's 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult with me and ask@𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com to submit your question or concern. Until next week, we're going to learn how to write these objectives next week. Keep it true. Hey. Well, guys, that's a wrap on another great episode of the Career Management Podcast for Black women. Yes, girl, this show is just for you. We're here to tell you how to play that chessboard at work, girl. So subscribe, comment, like, follow us on social media at 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA Show. Listen, every time you tell one of your friends, you share this information, you share this podcast, it helps us to grow and make even more dope content just for you, unapologetically. That's why we're here. Now, if you are facing a workplace dilemma, such as a performance improvement plan, or you're not able to secure your promotion and raise that you have worked for and you have deserved, basically, if these people are playing in your face, we are here to help. Go to 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com/coaching to schedule a one-time one-on-one call to workshop your specific dilemma with me. Or schedule a consult to get more information about the consulting packages that I do offer on a longer term basis. As always, you can reach out to us with your listener letters and your questions at 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐿MBA.com. Until next time, guys, focus on your best possible outcome. Ask for help when you need it. Please, please, please ask for help. And as always, keep it trill. I'll see y'all next week.